So, all mystical creatures and the weird features that make them up, they have all been pretty much made up early in history. Snakes as hair, or lions with wings, dragons, Bigfoot. If you literally take the time to stay in the mystical creature format, or even go past it and say, look at insects or aliens, there is none left. There's no traits to think of which people haven't already thought up, like giants or Pokemon, which are basically altered animals, or creatures with grotesque detail, or creatures that appear humanoid. It's all been thought up and done. And with this known, I want to show you that all ideas, discoveries, and inventions have that same premise, how they naturally and eventually would have been acknowledged, even though we think of discoveries like the wheel, light bulb, evolution, gravity, as big stepping stones, when really it's just natural progression that we'd have figured out eventually if we relate with it, which we do. It is natural for us to think in patterns and how things relate. Part of any discovery, idea, or invention is the same as making up a mystical creature for a folk story. You've got to use your imagination. Even if the subject is real, like a law of nature, you ask yourself, does this relate to me? In this, you can see humans and how they currently think in their cultural time periods as a single organ. They can't help how they act or believe. For example, I would have been a racist bigot if I grew up in the South during slave times in America. Or perhaps I would have believed in God if I grew up in a religious home during the 1950s. Now, these are simple and direct examples, like seeing an apple fall and saying, that apple will hit the ground. That's not looking into the future. It's simple logic. But if we extend how detailed and intricate destiny works, you can see I obviously would be into perhaps blueberry pie. Or perhaps how Einstein would obviously come up with relativity. Or my friend Anna would obviously be polite and free-spirited. It looks like how we just somehow became that way, discovering that side of life. But it's in fact always been in us. If you look at humans as this cultural single organism, relating with what's around us. New, unknown things in life, like computers and being intelligent, simply coming to being from looking within ourselves, by simply seeing a new perspective, no longer held down by the old cultural ways. This can, however, arise moral problems. Like, does this take away the achievements of someone? Like, Nikola Tesla, for example, inventing wireless telegraphy. No, it doesn't. But I'm saying he was a single cultural factor benefited from the succumbing of a discovery produced by multiple people and forces. Tesla was a product created from that way of life. This idea always reminds me of the Morpheus quote. What happened, happened, and could have happened any other way. In which he is explaining that there is no such thing as questioning a pathway. There really isn't two doors when you have a choice of choosing one or the other. You've already got the choice in you. It isn't even actually a question. But to you, with your ignorance of seeming free will as an individual, it is. Like if some event miraculously changed your mind while choosing two doors, it's because it was just not known to you yet. This makes everything around you seem part of you as an individual. Your surroundings are so important, I've always said. Like when you defend someone for doing something bad, and yet you are a good person yourself, it's because you in fact relate with them, and have a spark of that so-called bad in you. That's a weird thing to understand, but it's true. If anything, the ambiguity of that should give comfort to you. In conclusion, everything from the smallest child to the biggest galaxy is a product of cause and effect of everything within what that thing considers itself as an individual. I think of this when I look into my lover's eyes and feel even closer with her and with life itself.